And this is TVC News at 7. We're staying with the presidential directive slashing the expenditure of official travels for domestic and international by 60%. That directive was handed down by President Bola Tinubu a few hours ago and was contained in a statement signed by the presidential spokesman, Ajuri Ngelale. Mr. Ngelale says the development will affect the office of the president, the vice president, the first lady, ministers and heads of agencies. This directive also entails that the huge security detail that follows the president around on local trips will also be reduced and allow the security agencies in states that the president will visit to handle security arrangement for the president. He also said every minister is limited to having just 4 members of staff on any foreign trip, while heads of agencies are limited to just 2. Now, these are the number of persons approved by the president for foreign and state entourage. The president will have 20 persons, while that's for foreign trips, while the vice president will have 5 persons, and the first lady is limited to 5 persons as well. And for local trips, the president will have 25 persons in his entourage, the vice president will have 15 persons, and the first lady will have 10 persons in her entourage. Now, for more clarity on this development, let's speak with the presidential spokesman, Ajuri Ngelale, who joins us live from Abuja studio. Good to have you join us.
Good evening to you, my dear sister, and good evening to all of our viewers.
Good evening. A lot of people are talking about how this is quite coincidental with what's going on now in terms of the investigation ongoing at the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. But I want to get that clarity from you as to what prompted this decision from the president.
This is a decision that it has been in the works for some time. Obviously, the president is not a man, His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, to take decisions on a whim or on the basis of some, emotional viewpoint. He takes decisions based on empirical evidence. He takes decisions based on numbers and data. And so this has been a study, the consequence of a diagnostic that was conducted on the entourages that have gone to previous foreign trips. It is based on an assessment of the cost to the federal government of these massive entourages that have gone. And on the basis of that study, the president concluded that in line with his pledge to uphold the highest standards of prudence and effective and efficient management of the Commonwealth of our people, that he is going to take decisive action. I would remind any of our viewers that this is coming as a result of several prior conversations Mr. President has had, even with the cabinet. A few sessions of the Federal Executive Council meetings ago, the president laid out to the Federal Executive Council in the meeting that anyone that is found to be traveling on official trips where they do not have an official function or engagement, that they will be punished. In fact, he was specific in saying that they can lose their jobs. So this is something he has been discussing for a while. What we have just done now is to conclude on the study that was done, and on the basis of that, implement a detailed program, a detailed policy directive that's very clear with respect to how many people will go where and how that will work. And ultimately, we believe that if we are asking Nigerians to cut costs, that we must do so with our example, and that's the position of the president.
In terms of the details and in terms of cutting costs, but let's talk about cutting costs first before we get to the details. Are we likely to see this also being proposed to the National Assembly, where a lot of Nigerians, have been pointing accusing fingers in terms of their spending and over bloated budget?
Well, I think this is very specific in dealing with, there are larger cost-cutting measures that are still going to be taken. This is not the last one. This is just one of the initial ones. And I think what this deals with specifically is the issue of official trips and the cost of travel by government delegations. I don't think the National Assembly is usually known to be traveling on, a lot of official trips in numerous delegations. I don't think that's really the issue. I think their issue is more about how funds expended by their institutions is being expended with respect to constituency projects, with respect to whether or not they're providing effective oversight over the executive branch of government. I think there's a conversation certainly to be had about what adjustments they need to make. But what we do know is that within the executive branch, which is obviously a large operation with hundreds of ministries, departments, and agencies, and thousands of officials that have to travel abroad and locally within the country for various official engagements that are most times absolutely necessary. What we want to do is ensure that we cut the fat off the meat. We want to make sure that as much as humanly possible, those who are traveling on trips are not simply staying in hotels and running up room service bills and buying business class tickets on the government dime, but that they are going to conduct government business that is in the interest of the Nigerian people and that moves forward the president's agenda on economic growth and recovery. And anything that is not achieving that purpose is being cut off, which is why I think the president very importantly and very wisely decided that, look, we are not simply telling the MDAs to do what we're not willing to do. This is going to start from the office of the president himself. He's saying that my staff will be affected by this. The staff of my wife will be affected by this. The staff of my vice president will be affected by this. So he is setting the example for the rest of the executive administration to follow. And with, I think, the very serious cuts he has put in place, in addition to the recent measures he has put forth to deal with, any lack of prudence in the management of public resources. I think Nigerians understand that this is a president they've elected that is very serious and that is ready to put action to his words. And that's exactly what he has done yet once again today.
So we'll see how the ministers, the presidency and the ministers and the executive directors of these agencies follow through this particular directive. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Always a pleasure. Presidential spokesman Ajuri Ngelale.
Thank you for having me.